Hello everyone, welcome back with us. My name is Nurhabiba and my friend's name is Nadia. So today we are going to talk about chapter 7. It is about timing and bad timing. This presentation will be divided into two sessions, and the first one will be handled by me, Nurhabiba Firdausy, and my student's number is 77. But before that, let me tell you about the big concept of today's topic. Timing is important. It is really crucial, but unfortunately, some speakers do not really think if time is matter. They just keep talking while the audience do not listen to them anymore. So here, we are going to talk about some reasons why timing is important. The first one is because they have different level of adrenaline. So the speaker has high adrenaline while the audience not. So since the speaker is the one who will speak and the one who will talk, they will feel nervous and they will feel afraid. So the afraid and also the nervous will boost their adrenaline. For example, just like when we watch a horror movie, we will feel afraid and we will feel curious about what will happen next. But the afraid will help us to boost the adrenaline. So that's why the speaker, they will feel and they will get more energy before the speaking. So they will think that they can speak all day long without, without lesser their spirit, without less of their energy. While the audience not, they just sit still and they don't move their body, they don't speak, they just keep listening to the speaker. So by sitting still in a long time, it will reducing their adrenaline. So that's why if the speaker use a lot of time to speak, the audience would feel bored. Another reason is because the speaker and also the audience have different emotions. The speaker might be interested into the topic that she or he will say or will deliver. Meanwhile, the audience probably do not interested into the topic at all. So that's why uh, the time used here is really necessary. Can you imagine when you don't really interested into the topic, but you need to listen to that for a long time? It will be so stressful for you and you will feel irritated. The speaker also need to understand probably not all the audience are coming there because they are interested. Probably they just forced by someone or they just want to show their face. And the last reason about timing, why timing is important, is because speaker and audience have different contractual attitude. So time is an extraordinary contract which can affect the impression of the audience to the speaker. So for example, you are given time to speak for 30 minutes, but you spend an hour to deliver your material. Believe me, your audience will feel disrespectful and they will feel like you don't respect them. You don't respect their time. And on the other hand, for example, you are given the time to speak for 30 minutes, but you just spend around 15 minutes or 20 minutes. It will also affect to your audience. They will feel that your explanation is not clear enough and they want to listen more from you. So that's why you need to be punctual in delivering your speaking. And another aspect that we need to focus on the audience and also speaker is the span attention. Let me tell you one fun fact. So, believe it or not, people's attention span is just less for 1 hour only. And also, it is depend on the subject and also the individual. For example, if you are interested into mathematics, probably you can spend learning mathematics for around 1 hour until 2 hours. But if you don't really interested into it, probably you will get bored easily. All right, I think that's all from me. Before we go to the second session, do you want to ask a question?
Okay, Nurhabiba, I want to ask you about, so from the fun fact that you say, we can find out that our attention, it lasts for no longer than an hour. It's interesting. But in reality, sometimes we find out the speakers who talk too much for more than that, just for example, when teacher teaching kids. So what do you think about this?
Okay. So just like what I have explained before, I think the teaching and also learning would not be effective. I'm sorry. Is it clear enough, my voice?
Okay,
Yeah.
is
Okay.
it enough?
Sorry. Let me repeat. I think the learning and also learning process would not be effective because the students will feel bored during the class because the teacher just keep explaining for a long time. So they will just think that when is the time of the class will be over, when will they have the lunch time. So those kind of thing if the teacher just spend too much time in explaining. So it will make the students feel bored because the students is just like the audience. Yeah. So how is it, Nadia?
Oh, I see. Then how if the public speaker they will talk to the audience, right?
Yeah.
So how to make the feel interested and want to listen?
Okay. So if you talk about public speaking, it is related to general, right? So yeah, we need to grab the audience attention by probably telling a jokes, showing videos, telling a stories, then which of course it needs to be related to the topic that is given. So beside the content, the speakers also could what is that give and also show the first good impressions so then the audience will feel curious about the speaking. Probably the what is that the speaker can start with giving a quotes or by asking the opinion of the audience, something like that. Yeah, Nadia, any more question?
Okay. No, Nurhabiba, thanks.
Okay, all right. Okay, guys, so now let's go to the second section of this presentation.
Okay, guys. This is the second session, and the topic is inner time is a bad time and good timing. Okay, okay, Nur Habibah. Okay, inner time is a bad time. Inner time or bad time is a time was when we do things. In public speaking, inner time often occurs due to various problems. If you want to be good public speaker, you must be smart in using time. Many speakers do not use the timing inappropriately, which can cause problems. Next, the problem of inner time. There are six the problem of inner time, like, I'm sorry, there are five the problem of inner time or bedtime. The first is nervous or extreme anxiety. Nervous is the one of the biggest obstacle in speaking public communication or speaking in public. because you are nervous, whether you are not used to or untrained. Don't fornication. Don't control the material, and the people who have never spoken in public before will experience it. Nervous or jerky in public speaking is also referred to by the term stage fright. And the second, lacking confidence. There are several factors that cause a person to feel afraid and insecure in public speaking. Number one, fear, fear or fear of failure. Wanting to be successful and afraid of failure sometimes even makes the fear even bigger. And the two, there is no self-confidence. Feel yourself unable to do this. And the three, traumatic. Has fear and feels alone when standing on stage, and all eyes are on him. Number four, fear of being judged. This happens because of feelings of fear when many people talk about themselves or their opinions. And the next about to perfectionist. Perfectionist is a good but to perfectionist and expect too much of himself only has a negative effect. And the next is blank or stress. Blank afraid of not knowing what to do, what to talk about when speaking in public, and a stress. Avoid stress when speaking in public. Okay, the number second of the problem is the inevitable appearance of noises. Who hasn't been noisy when someone is explaining something in front of you, whether at the flag ceremony at school or when the lecturer explains the course in your class? You must have talk, whether you want to deny it or not. Is it clear that chatting has become a culture that is so embedded in the daily lives of our society? This can be a very bad habit when indeed we are attending an event that is not allowed to chat. And the next is a tool is just knowing. The tools in public speaking are very diverse, such as a microphone, loudspeaker, laptop, LCDs, and others. Example of case of laptop that failed to connect to the LCD is one of the multimedia problems that speakers often face in a presentation or perhaps a meeting. Lack of audio, video lags, or poor quality LCD resolution are other examples of multimedia distraction that you may encounter. And the next verbal closing session. The closing usually contains conclusion, suggestion, or message given by a public speaker to the audience, and it is not uncommon for us to meet the speaker or someone in a forum who close it verbal or voting. Okay, next, Nurhabiba. There are various techniques to overcome to the problem. On the first, come first before the conference begins. And next, always practice to avoid getting nervous when speaking in the front of the audience. And the third, and most importantly, always know the time limit when we're talking. Okay, next. Okay, about good timing. Good timing, keeping time is very important in any way, right? So good timing is one of the most impressive achievement in a speaker. Next, there are three steps to good timing. Timing counts, time to write and rehearse your timing. And the first, timing counts. Minute and words. First, you need to decide how long you will speak for. You will have received a time allocation from the event organizer, but you don't want to file every minute. As a guide, reduce your time allocation by 15 until 20%. If you have a 10-minute slot, then aim to produce a speech that lasts about 8 minutes. In the second, convert the plain length in minutes into the approximate number of words you will need to fill the time. I typically aim for 90 until 100 words per minute when speaking in public. With this in mind, I know that if I have a 10-minute slot, I need to write approximately 9, 900 until 1,000 words, and then record and time yourself giving a speech or presentation and calculate the VPM. Try out an app or website such as Word Counter or invite friends or colleagues to give you feedback on your pace. This input will give you a fairly reliable guide for subsequent speech. And the number two, time to write. There are three to crafting your content. Getting the timing right begins when you are drafting your speech or presentation. You know how long you have to speak and roughly how many words you need. This gives you a good indication of the appropriate breadth and depth your material. And the first, purpose and message. Next, you need to determine the purpose and message of your speech. What is the single main point you want to make? I find I find it helpful to write this down in large letters and keep the page in the view while you are compiling your content. You then work backwards on outline of the essential information required to support your message, stories, data, quotes, and etc. Don't worry about any material being words. It might simple belong in the different speech on article. And the two, structure. Now consider the structure of your speech. What is the most efficient route from your opening remarks to your core message? What is the optimum number of section and subsection? And how many examples? The more layers you introduce, the harder it is for your audience to follow what you're saying and for you to keep to time. And as we know, three works well. So wherever practicable, aim for three key points section and or example. And the three, signposts. Signposting also help you ensure your speech flow easily and affords clarity to your audience. What will the next a few minutes or chunk of your speech cover, and at the end of the chunk, a few words summarizing its main point, all building towards your core message. On, and the third, rehearse your timing. The process of presenting often takes longer than you expect. So it's important to practice. Run through your speech with a stopwatch, speaking or not reading loud. Make it as realistic as possible, using any visual aids, building in gesture, pause, and change of pace. This rehearsal time will also help you iron out any wrinkles in your speech, such as awkward words or phrases, over complex sentence, non-sequiturs, and so on. If you are using slide factor on in time for your audience to read any words they contain, people read in preference to listening, so allow the time to do this before you start talking. This is a good reason for keeping text on slide to a minimum. Then more you rehearse, you more fluent and comfortable your delivery will become as you internalize what you want to say and finish your word choice. We tend be poor judges of time. One day, ask someone to flag key timing or use your phone stopwatch to keep you on track. Okay, next slide. To piece of advice. Firstly, the best timing technique is in the work is useless if you can modify your material on the fly. And secondly, to be explicit about the control and administration of the time during the talk. Uh, okay, guys, that's all my presentation. That's anyone to ask?
Uh, okay, so I would like to ask you, Nadia.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. So I have listened to your explanation. It's great, but can you explain more how to maintain good timing and how to avoid wasted time or bad time when we teach in front of the student, especially from our point of view as a teacher?
Um, okay, thank you, Nurhabiba. I think we as a teacher are very important to maintain time in order to be effective in terms of teaching and always make ways that students don't feel bored learning in class. How to maintain good timing in class when we are teaching? It is very easy. We must know what time we have to start and to the end the class. Then we have to optimize the available time such as explaining the material in an interesting manner so that it makes students not bored and the time feels so fast. Besides that, we also invite students to communicate. This can make interactive between teacher and students. And the next, how to avoid wasted time or bad time when we teach in front of students. No one person wants his time to be wasted, right? So we as a teacher must be aware of the use of time in the class because only teacher can optimize the time well.
Ah,
That's it,
okay.
Nurhabiba.
So you said that only teacher that can optimize the time well in the class. How about the student?
Yes, I think so. Students also can have an important role in terms of learning in class, but only teacher can optimize the time well because only teacher can plan learning in class and students follow what the teacher asks or instruct.
Oh, okay, I see. One last question from me. Is there
Okay?
perceived, perceived difference between a teacher and a public speaker?
Oh, okay, thank you, Nurhabiba. Uh, I think there are a lot of difference like nervous. For example, by the teacher, it is rarely to feel nervous in class because every day teacher meet the audience like students, while a public speaker too often feel nervous because always experience a different and rarely recognized audience. Other example like problems in required equipment. In classroom, the tools used are easy to find because they are often used in learning, right? Whereas when a public speaker always moves place and not only in the same place, it is certain that many tools are not ready and difficult to find when you have not checked again what equipment is needed. Did I answer your question, Nurhabiba?
Yes, Nadia, it's clear enough.
Okay, thank
Okay,
you.
all right. Thank you, everyone. Before I close the presentation, I would like to conclude the presentation today. So we can see that timing is really important because it is not only affect we as a speaker, but it is also affect the audience. They will give us the impression, they will image us by seeing how do we spend our time in delivering the speech. In order to use the time well and wisely, as a speaker, we need to do some techniques before we deliver the speech. It is just like rehearsal, practice, and also arranging the words. So then we can adjust it with the time limit that is given by the event. I think that's all for the presentation today. Hopefully it is clear enough and can help you to be a good speaker. That's all. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye bye. Thank you, guys.